Welcome to this mini video series that we are calling Applied Generative AI. And applied because we want to talk about how you can apply generative AI to solving real world problems. We'll look beyond use cases such as text summarization or marketing collateral development or personal productivity and talk about real world use cases for generative AI. My name is Vishwas Lele and I'm CTO for Applied Information Sciences. I'm also an Azure MVP. I want to take 30 seconds to give you just enough context about AIS before we dive into the content. We've been around for 4 decades. We have wealth of experience around Azure, around data. We've been working on AI ML projects for a while. We got onboarded to Azure OpenAI at the beginning of this year, and we are one of the 6 partners that have access to Microsoft funding around AI programs. Let's talk about our key capabilities around Azure OpenAI. We've been building internally for several months a SaaS service that we are calling Copilot for Proposal Writers. And by virtue of that work, we have developed content such as the Center of Excellence for Azure OpenAI. We've also developed some IP around reusable tools and patterns. In addition, we've been working with customers to bring Azure OpenAI solutions to market. For example, we've been working with financial services customers. Now that Azure OpenAI is FedRamped, we've been also beginning to work with federal contractors about Azure OpenAI use cases. We're also working with healthcare and nonprofits. So what can you expect in this mini-series? We will be covering a number of topics. For example, we will talk about the different application types that you can build using generative AI. We already know that productivity tool vendors such as Microsoft and Salesforce are baking in generative AI into their tool set. Microsoft 365 Copilot, Salesforce GPT are great examples of that. You can also embed generative AI into your existing enterprise applications to improve the functionality. I talked about how we have built a Copilot for proposal writers. Think of that as a native generative AI application. And finally, we will talk about how the transformative nature of generative AI is allowing for new business models to be developed around generative AI. In addition to talking about the different kinds of applications that you can build using generative AI, we'll also be discussing how you can go about picking the right use cases that offer you the most compelling ROI, use cases that help you leverage generative AI's superpowers. Now, generative AI is not without its own set of challenges, especially when you talk about infusing generative AI into enterprise applications. You may run into higher cost, unpredictable results when you infuse enterprise data into generative AI applications. We'll talk about some of the generative AI challenges such as hallucination and validation of results. One of the best ways to get started with generative AI is to develop a quick set of pilots that can help you assess and prove value that you can deliver through the Gen AI solutions and also give you insights into the hard ROI calculations. Another topic that we want to talk about as part of this mini series is around Center of Excellence. So we'll talk about how you can build an Azure OpenAI sandbox, how you can automate it for consistency. We'll talk about the core principles of Center of Excellence, such as how do you administer the environment, how do you nurture the community that is going to be using generative AI applications, how do you provide governance, how do you develop a plan for enterprise change management for a disruptive technology like generative AI. Security and privacy are going to be important topics as well. You want to ensure that your data, especially when you begin to infuse enterprise data, never leaves your network. The prompts and prompt responses are controlled. How long do they stay in the system? What are the policies around that? No discussion of COE is complete without discussion of tools, and it seems like there are new tools every day. So we'll talk about LangChain, Semantic Kernel, Fiddler AI, and many more. No discussion of Azure OpenAI is going to be complete without a discussion about the underlying models. So we will be talking about Azure OpenAI models like 3.5 and 4, and also the new releases that are coming out at a rapid clip. We'll also talk about open source models. These models are gaining capability quickly. We'll also talk about model marketplaces such as Hugging Face, which give developers smaller size models that may be applicable for certain enterprise applications. We'll also talk about some advanced techniques like fine-tuning. Now, we realize that for most use cases that people are building today, prompt engineering combined with few-shot learning may be enough. But in certain cases where you have enough high-quality examples and you want to bake those examples into the underlying model, fine-tuning may be helpful, and we will talk about those. And finally, we will talk about a number of different patterns that are available today. So you have the retrieval augmented generation, you have the plugin models, you have the agents where you can define a higher level outcome and let the agent define the prompts for you. So with this, I come to the end of this video. I've provided you a sampling of topics that we plan to cover as part of this fast evolving topic. Of course, we'll adjust to new developments. But most importantly, we will love to hear from you. What are some of the topics that you would like us to cover? Please reach out to us on LinkedIn, and I hope to see you in future episodes. Thank you for watching.